Got a lot of notes to get into from today's Bears training camp practice. My name is Harrison Graham. Want to dive into the latest in the left tackle competition, plus a connection that is growing, and just some other news and notes, a couple of injuries I want to hit on, and one player that I just don't know what's going on with right now. So a lot to get to here on Bears Now by Chat Sports, but let's start with the man, the myth, the legend, the Canadian Eagle himself. For those who watched Hard Knocks last year, Theo Benedet. This feels real, folks. He got more first-team reps at left tackle today, including the initial team reps. The first time they did 11 on 11s today, he was out there at left tackle. He also did the 2-minute drill today. Braxton Jones did the opposite yesterday. So they're giving Benedet the opportunity to get this job, I think. I don't think this is fake. And to me, Ben Johnson, this coaching staff, they don't operate like a staff that's just doing this for fun. Now, could a secondary goal with this tactic be sending a message to a guy like Braxton Jones and to the other guys who were a part of the initial competition? Sure, but Dan Roschon said it. Theo Benedet's one of the most improved players in that room. He's earned this opportunity, A, because of how much he's improved and how he's performed, and B, no one else has taken the job up to this point. Kiran Amegadjie got hurt, missed over a week. He's working with the threes right now. Ozzy Trapilo has done some good things, but it's been inconsistent. He looks like a second-round rookie. Braxton Jones, we've said it for years. Great find in the 5th round. He's serviceable. He's solid. He's inconsistent and doesn't have a great anchor, and he's coming off an ankle injury. They just have not had someone emerge from this competition. So here comes Benedet entering the fray. The good news is this. They're exhausting all of their options. The Bears coaching staff last year would not give Theo Benedet this opportunity even if he had earned it. They would just stick with their initial plan. Well, these are the 3 guys. They probably wouldn't have even had 3 initially. It probably would have just been 2, and they would have just picked someone. Well, they're saying, you know what? This guy's earned an opportunity. We're going to give him a chance because Braxton, Ozzy, and Kiran haven't done anything to run away with the job. That's the bad news, though, that none of these guys 3 weeks into camp have emerged as the clear answer. There's still time, but I think it's safe to say that whoever is the left tackle, that's going to be the position opposing teams attack early on this season with their blitz packages, with their offensive line, because you feel pretty good about left guard through right tackle. But that left tackle spot that protects Caleb Williams, his blind side, that's going to be a challenge early on. Now, the good news is you have Joe Thuney, an all-pro, a future Hall of Famer playing next to him. You can chip with tight ends, but, whether it's Braxton, whether it's Ozzy, whether it's Kiran, whether it's Benedet, it's going to be a challenge for that person, I would imagine, at least to an extent. Now, speaking of Benedet, Ryan Poles did say on an interview with 670 The Score that Benedet can play both tackle and guard spots. So, in terms of roster construction, I think he's on this football team because regardless of where he ends up in this left tackle competition, my question was, well, even if he's in the mix, if he's the odd man out behind the other tackles, are they going to keep a 5th tackle because you have Darnell and now these 4 guys in the left tackle competition? Are you keeping 5? Well, if they feel comfortable with him at guard, I think the answer is yes because you're fairly thin on the interior in terms of backup. So I do think the Canadian Eagles on this team, the question is, can he earn that starting left tackle job, which would be quite the story. Speaking of Benedet as well, Zach Pearson did have the note earlier today that Dio Adengbo just won easily against Benedet in a 2-minute drill. So while this is a good story and he's doing some good things, it's not like he's lighting it up. It's more that he's entered this competition because he's done some good things, and these other guys, no one has exactly run away with it. So don't want to gas up the Canadian Eagle too much, but has been a nice story so far. Who do you guys think wins the left tackle job? If you think it's Braxton Jones, type BJ. If you think it's Ozzy Trapilo, type OT. Kiran Amegadjie, type KA. Or Theo Benedet, type TB. Let me know down in the comment section below. Now, we will be live for Bears versus Bills on Sunday, 5:45 Central Time is when we'll go live. The game is at 7 o'clock, so hour 15 pregame. If you see this thumbnail on your YouTube feed, that's us. Hopefully you've already subscribed, but if you haven't already, please do so. Join us. We'll have some raffles. We'll have some fun. We'll react to everything that happens, including the first team offense and defense getting a chance to play. Speaking of, is Rome Odunze going to be this team's number one receiver this year? Because the Caleb Williams to Rome Odunze connection is continuing to grow and blossom as training camp progresses 3+ weeks in. Greg Braggs Jr., who does a great job, CHGO, gives Bears Twitter a fan's look at things as he goes to a lot of these practices. He said Caleb Williams with an absolute dot to Rome Odunze in stride on a 20-yard dig route. Just a beautiful pass with anticipation. Caleb finishes the 2-minute drill with another completion to Rome. Offense ran up to the line of scrimmage, clocked it in time for the field goal opportunity. That's a side note here. Second day in a row, the offense has won the 2-minute situation, so that's good to see. Herb Howard also had this note. He said, you can go ahead and book Rome Odunze for 1,000 yards right now. He may actually fly by that into the 1,300-yard range. His chemistry with Caleb is undeniable, and Caleb looks to him early and often, especially in critical situations. Rome has been the picture of consistency and dependability. I'm really excited about Rome. And you can tell Caleb trusts them. They came in together. They were drafted together. It goes back to them getting reps before last year's draft together out in California. Like, this connection has been building, for well over a year now. And I just think Rome is more comfortable now. And he talks about that. Like, look, coming into the NFL, the hardest thing is these playbooks are a lot more complex. And Randall L. said yesterday that he's picked things up really nicely. They feel good about him at that X position, but also they're confident they can move him around if they need to. So I think he's going to have a big-time season, and it wouldn't shock me at all if Rome Odunze ended up being this team's number one receiver when it's all said and done. Because one thing I will say, we're hearing Rome's names a lot, especially from a receiver standpoint. We're not hearing DJ Moore's name a ton. Now, I'm not going to freak out about that. DJ's a vet. He's going to be a productive player, but from just a, throw the ball to a receiver standpoint, I do think there's a good chance Rome is that number one guy, and DJ kind of slides into this just do everything Deebo Samuel type of role. That wouldn't shock me whatsoever. Get yourself a Caleb Williams jersey today for only $100. Hopefully, Rome Odunze catches a lot of passes from Caleb this year. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. This deal is fantastic. Link is available for you guys in the comments and description of this video. Go support 1-8, chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. All right, let's get into today's injury news now, as a couple of guys left practice. Plus, I want to dive into a player that I just am not really sure what's going on with this guy. Case Keenum and Trey Flowers did leave practice today for various reasons we don't know, because we didn't hear from Ben Johnson after practice. We'll see if there's an update tomorrow. Kind of a suspicious note, or not suspicious, but kind of a weird one from Courtney Cronin when it comes to Case Keenum. She said, haven't seen Case Keenum for 11-on-11s after he was here stretching and individual drills. Not sure when he went inside or why. It's only been Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent getting reps, Austin Reed getting his first rep now. Brad Biggs added, Trey Flowers leaving the practice field early. Don't think he returned either. So not really sure what that's all about with Case. Maybe a personal thing came up, like a family member called. He had to leave practice. Who knows? He's, in his late 30s. Maybe a familial situation popped up. You don't know. But we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, Trey Flowers, who, I think it's over the hill, but you have had a lot of injuries in your secondary, so you don't want to lose another body. The good news is Terrell Smith, I think, was back out there today. So was Nick McLeod. So, those guys plus the guys you signed earlier in the week. So probably can't absorb that one if it's going to knock him out for some time, but we'll see when joint practice picks up tomorrow if those guys are out there. And then lastly, what's going on with Roschon Johnson? Because last Tuesday, the most physical practice in camp that all the reporters talked about, he was the goal line back. So, they were knocking heads, right? Physical practice, so on and so forth. He talked to the media after that practice. So it seemed all was fine. Wednesday, off day. Thursday of last week, the day before joint practices, Roschon not there. Bears tell the media he has a foot injury, wasn't there for joint practice Friday, wasn't there for the preseason game, hasn't been there all week, and from what I've seen on social media, no one has seen him, so he's not even off to the side. Now, we saw this with Luther Burden during OTAs. No one had seen him either. He was in the building rehabbing, so that's what conventional wisdom would say, but I do wonder with a guy with a concussion history, did he wake up and self-report a concussion? because the Bears don't have to tell us what the official injury is until week 1. Until Wednesday of week 1, or I guess Thursday in the Bears case because of Monday Night Football, that's when the first official injury report is required to be delivered. I do wonder if something more is going on here. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying I even think it's the case, but it's just bizarre. It's like, where is he? No update. Ben hasn't said anything. Now, maybe the media has done a poor job and hasn't asked specifically about him, because yesterday they asked about Jalen Johnson, they asked about Kyler Gordon, but they didn't ask about Roschon. So I just don't know what's going on there. I know the official depth chart had Roschon as the RB2. I think that's clearly Kyle Monangai at this point, and I think he can stamp that in with the strong performance against the Bills, not only tomorrow but on Friday. It's just a bummer because Roschon was having a pretty good camp, and I think at minimum was going to be that short yardage guy, but he just keeps getting injured, and I don't know what's going on with him. So hopefully we get an update soon. Hopefully he's doing well, and hopefully he can play a factor on this football team. What say you? Do you think Kyle Monangai has locked in the RB2 role? Locked in as far, it might be a stretch, but I think a good few days here, Friday and Sunday, that could be the case. Type Y for yes, you think he has locked it in, or type in for no if you don't think that's happened quite yet. All right, guys, appreciate you tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. Tomorrow, we, of course, will have a joint practice reaction, so be on the lookout for that. If you're watching live, more to come here. Bear down.